If you found your way to this channel, you must be a lover of stories and myths and legends. This is Solas Baha, Scots Gaelic for light of life. It's a place to rest, to wonder, and to remember what the old stories still have to teach. Welcome, dear one. I'm Lily Christensen, and sometimes go by the name of Grandma May. Here at Solas Baha, we return to the old paths, to stories shaped by firelight, carried through the centuries and remembered in the marrow of the bones. You will see that just as forests, mountains, dancing aurora, and gentle as well as wild creatures call me home, so do stories of old, the stories that live in my ancient soul. Welcome to my whispering series, where I bring you to a magical place, somewhere in nature, and read my own fantasy novel, Beyond Trivar, in soft, soothing whispers, like a fae gently calling through the ages. So, sit back in your most cozy, safe place with your favorite blanket and maybe a nice warm drink, and let me inspire magical peace and rest while grand adventures play out in the mystical world of Trivar. By way of introduction, my Beyond Trivar is the first published book in my Third Daughter Prophecy series, one of 3 series planned for a future date. The Third Daughter Prophecy series is a high fantasy, full of adventure, dragons, pirates, even flying tigers, and maybe a little romance and laughter. The story has echoes of the classic battle between goodness and evil, but at its heart, it's about a woman named Jaden. Stolen as a child, sold into slavery, and forced to fight her way back, to learn about herself, and dreams of finding her real home. Throughout the novel, a fairy tale weaves in and out, and Jaden's dreams and the Third Daughter Prophecy lead her through small villages, grand elven lands, hidden sites for magical creatures, and fae gardens, and even a rough open land they just simply call the Highlands. And maybe a hint of fairyland. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the magic of Beyond Trivar. Highland, a poem by Aaron M. Martineau. No tears shed I for feet trod raw, no grief for the coat that I lack. I cinch my belt, condemn the gnaw, square the burden upon my back. No regret when lantern oil failed, no remorse for the compass lost. How the body's misery pales when poor heart and soul pay the cost. Why did I covet lands afar? Could they match for safety and peace? Lead me, O guiding star, or Hira's haunting will ne'er cease. I long for home's rugged landscape, a vibrant green under wild sky, the rock-hewn shores and rough seascape, where cliffs rise treacherously high. I miss her untamed wilderness, caldera forest near the vale, of wildflowers that gaily rest near steep slopes of Glen Allendale. And yet she will never leave me. Here is the bond in my heart that makes me regret I left thee. But I'll return no more to part. She, nature, reigns in the Highlands. She will welcome me to her shore. At long last, bound from my homeland, here I, longing, shall be no more. Prologue, a beloved child. It's the only way, he whispered in the dark. But she's not even seen her first fortnight, she pleaded. You know it's the only way to protect her, he said more urgently. It is so far away. A sob caught in her throat. Another man opened the bedchamber door and whispered desperately, Now! You must leave. Now! Shadows on the horizon. We'll hold them off as long as we can, but you must go. He shut the door quickly. Heavy boots sounded through the halls and out the house. Anxious neighing and hoofbeats faded into the quiet morning. The first man exhaled slowly as he knelt down next to the bed. Don't say more. You will be well soon, as though nothing ever happened. We will return her to you when the danger is past. I promise to keep her safe. If I don't leave now, I will miss the boat's departure. The man reached for the baby. Wait. The mother gazed painfully, longingly at her little red-headed daughter. A few tears escaped. Remember, your mother loves you, she whispered, placing a gentle kiss on her child's soft cheek. She lingered. Finally, she looked up at the man and relinquished. Now tears streamed freely down her cheeks as he tenderly took the child. He stole one last glance at the woman. She buried her face in her pillows as he disappeared out the bedchamber door. Utilizing the baby's blanket, he tucked the infant securely in a sling wrap that held her snug against his chest. Covering the wrap and baby under his cloak, he rushed down the stairs and ran out into the cold autumn morning. Quickly but carefully he mounted his horse. Riding north, he refused to look back despite the distant yells of men and creatures and the echoes of clashing steel. Urging his horse faster, he held his precious charge tightly, aware that all of Trivar depended on him. After 2 hours, the baby began to fuss. He rode on, hoping that she would settle down, but after a short time he slowed his horse. For the first time he turned his gaze southward. The wind blowing across the moor tossed his silver hair and blew it in the direction of large plumes of black smoke that poured into the light gray sky. He looked at the child sadly before dismounting. He hoped that some of her kinsmen had escaped. At least this precious girl is safe, he thought. His mind wandered to another young girl, and he hoped his brother was doing well and that the plan would be successful. He opened his saddlebag and felt around. His battle-worn hands found a leather water pouch with a cheesecloth nipple. He looked toward the sky before finding a smooth, dry place to sit. He smiled at the irony of feeding this beautiful Travarian child. But his thoughts were cut short as the baby realized that food was near and began to cry intensely. Carefully, as if afraid he might accidentally break her, he aimed the nipple toward the wide, upset mouth and awkwardly pulled her close to his chest. As the cheesecloth nipple reached her lips, she began sucking frantically. He relaxed as her body curled into his. She drank happily. As he had been instructed, he pulled her away from the nipple every few minutes and put her tiny body over his shoulder to gently but firmly pat her back. Each time he returned her to his cradling arms, the process became easier and more natural to him. He fed her peacefully for a time until she began to fuss again. He remembered the rest of his instructions and wrinkled his nose. He checked the baby's pants, wondering how anyone could get used to this part. After cleaning her off, he wrapped her tiny body and carefully closed the pins to her pants. He pulled her clothes over her bare legs and swaddled the blanket securely around her. He fed her for another minute. Sure enough, she fell into a peaceful sleep. Watching her dear rosy face as she slept changed something in his ancient heart. He no longer felt that this was just a mission for Trivar. He carefully returned the leather and cheesecloth baby bottle to the saddlebag and mounted his horse with the little one once again tucked securely in her blanket, snug against his strong chest. All day he traveled over green hills, brown moors, and swampy valleys in an intermittent drizzle. Every few hours he fed and changed the child. He felt grateful that she was so young and slept most of the time. His thoughts wandered again to his brother. By evening, a slice of the setting sun escaped through clouds at the horizon to illuminate the rider as he entered the forest. Riding between branches of evergreens, he breathed deeply and looked back at the open land behind him, allowing relief to wash over him and smooth the anxious lines on his forehead. He turned forward again and let the horse walk slowly. Thank you for spending this time with me. May these stories bring you rest, wonder, and a sense of home. The kind that lives in the bones, remembers the old paths, and lingers long after the tale ends. Until next time, may the light of life walk with you. I'll meet you again in the next story.